Good evening. Welcome to the September Rushcliffe Cabinet meeting. If I could ask for apologies for absence, please.
Councillor Debbie Mason.
Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest? Okay. Could I ask for a proposal for the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday, the 9th of July? To accept those minutes proposed by Councillor Edivine, seconded. Councillor Upton, carried. All those, sorry, need to vote first. All those accepting those, yeah, carried. Okay, item 4, opposition group leaders' questions. Could I ask Councillor Adams to come to the chair? It's like mastermind. We're going to ask you questions. You have 1 minute.
Don't think it'll take that long.
Okay, Councillor Gray.
Thank you. Given the contents of the reports presented this evening, they take weeks and possibly months to prepare. It would be fantastic to be able to read these, along with background information available to ourselves as councillors and the general public, to better understand them and scrutinise them. Does Cabinet believe that it represents a good opportunity for healthy challenge, that opposition leaders are given typically around 2 days? I mean, we wait with bated breath for the Cabinet agenda to come through, to read, digest, come up with pertinent questions on these reports, especially since the Cabinet has given over 6 full days to read, digest and come up with pertinent answers to these short questions.
Okay. Quite understand your question, and one of the reasons we introduced these scrutiny questions is to make sure there's preparation, and obviously you need that preparation. So we'd like to propose that we'll extend the questions for citizens and opposition to Thursday evening. Okay, I know it's not huge, but that will give the extra day to do that. Also, just to make you aware that some questions we may have to give a response back in writing, because obviously you talk about the 6 days, it includes Saturdays and Sundays, and someone's got better things to do, but there we go. So as from next month, those questions can be submitted up to Thursday evening for both citizens and for opposition. Okay. Good. Okay. Any supplementary questions you'd like to ask?
I was going to say thank you. That's a great improvement, the extra day.
Right,
and also, just as a follow-up, would Cabinet think of any other ways to make to help improve participation and an interest in Cabinet business?
So is that a question? Sorry,
yeah, as a follow-up question.
Would we think of ways
yes.
to do that? Well, we'll think of them. I think what I will say is that we totally agree with the sentiment, and I think we've had 130 people into one Cabinet meeting talking about one specific subject, and don't see many members of the public here today. It's advertised on the website, and I'll certainly consult with the Chief Executive if there's any better ways we can actually promote Cabinet meetings and papers and things with that. But totally agree with your sentiment, and certainly we want people to attend and take an interest, because it is a very key decision-making forum. Okay, thank you. Okay, next item 5 is citizens' questions. I understand we do have a question, but the person has not turned up. So, can the monitoring officer please to ask the question?
Thank you. The question is being submitted by Deirdre Scott and is: why do single household occupants only get a 25% discount on their council tax as opposed to a 50% one?
That's for Councillor Moore.
It's my job to answer it. So the calculation of the charge level for each property is mandated by the Local Government Finance Act of 1992. Each billing authority has no discretion on the level of discount they may award, and must administer the scheme in accordance with legislation, which in this scenario is to award a 25% discount.
Okay, thanks very much. Do they have an opportunity to ask a supplementary question with that at all? We don't know. There is one anyways. I just wondered whether you'd been doing that. No. Okay, so we can move on with that. Okay, item 6, the use of capital funding for affordable homes. Councillor Upton.
Thank you.
This council's affordable housing capital budget is to support the provision of new affordable homes in Rushcliffe. It's currently 1.6 million and consists of historic capital receipts from the sale of the council's housing stock and money given by developers in lieu of on-site affordable housing, some of which is time limited and if not spent may have to be given back to the developers. In recent years, the majority of our affordable housing has been on new development sites, and this council is proud to have overseen the delivery of more affordable housing than any other borough or district in the county, and we want to continue this. The council's affordable housing capital budget is only used to support the provision of affordable homes where no other source is available. And in reality, this is by helping its registered housing providers, such as Metropolitan Thames Valley Housing, to either acquire sites on the open market or to develop their own land assets. Now, open market sites in the borough generally have a very high land value, which can make it very difficult for affordable housing schemes to work financially without high levels of grant. So we've been focusing our affordable housing capital budget on helping these registered providers develop their garage and amenity sites into affordable homes, what I call the Garage Sites programme. And I've been to recent examples of this, Boundary Road, West Bridgeford, Marwood in Cotgrave, and recently Queen's Road in Radcliffe-on-Trent. And very good they are too, in my opinion. However, in recent years, capital grants to these providers from the government's Homes England have become more generous, and the need for the support from our budget has decreased somewhat. Although we're proactive in spending our affordable capital budget, nevertheless, we thought about this, and further options are suggested in this report to help the council provide more affordable housing, such as acquiring empty or other open market properties for rent and providing loans for refurbishing these empty properties. And these new options are summarised in item 413 of the report, and there's more detailed information given the Appendix A. So in conclusion, as I say, this council's affordable housing capital budget is currently at 1.6 million, although about 400 and some odd thousand, I think Councillor Moore mentioned in his report, has been earmarked for some of the garage housing schemes, which is good. Nevertheless, it is time limited to a large degree, and this report proposes some new options for allocating this money. I therefore move that the Cabinet approves the recommendations set out in the report, item 2, namely, A, approves the principle that the following new options indicated below and set out in Appendix A are considered for the allocation of the capital support from our affordable housing capital budget. Acquisition of open market property, acquisition of empty property, loans to property owners of empty properties for refurbishment and letting, loans to third parties to support the provision of affordable housing, support to ensure council-led schemes are policy compliant in respect of the provision of affordable housing. Any chosen option will be subject to the approval of both the Section 151 officer and the finance portfolio holder. And B, a revised disposal and acquisition policy for land and buildings is brought to Cabinet and then to full council, particularly to consider delegated authority for the acquisition of housing property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Moore.
I'm very happy to support this report. I think everybody in this room believes in affordable housing, and anything that will aim at increasing the number of affordable homes and make the most of opportunities that arise is extremely important. I'm very proud in my own ward. Over the last 5 or 6 years, we've had 200% affordable schemes, which have created 21 new affordable units, mainly because of the fact we were, as Councillor Upton has said, we were able to invest in, with the generosity of a local farmer, into some land, so we would develop 100% schemes. The garage developments which have been talked about are a really good example of an excellent investment. We actually invested £480,000 there, or we are investing £480,000, and this will bring about 30 new affordable homes. However, Being the portfolio member for finance, it's important we look at individual business cases so that we provide best value for money for the taxpayer. And I'm pleased to see that any chosen option will be subject to approval by the Section 151 officer. Very happy to support this recommendation.
Thank you very much. Any comments at all from that? Okay, so all those in favour of the motion proposed by Councillor Upton, seconded by Councillor Moore? Unanimous. Okay, moving forward to item 7, which is the corporate strategy, which comes under my portfolio. So the current corporate strategy expired on the 31st of March, is due to expire on the 31st of March 2020. And then because of the significant progress we made in delivering the strategy, and in response to the changing landscape, then we have been working again over the last few months to come up with a new strategy in the proposal today. I just want to add something to the recommendation which is set out, and it's just a change of wording. This is under the introduction with a paragraph committed to playing our part in delivering housing growth in a sustainable way. The current wording just says nearly 3,000 have already been built. Now, as this is a fluid document, there needs to be some timing against that. So I'm proposing a change of wording which will replace that, which will say, as of April 2019, we have facilitated the delivery of 3,400 new homes, which will give it some timing and context on that as we actually go forward. In terms of the corporate strategy, I don't intend to go through every page. The main bit at the start is a lot about the journey that the council's been since 2016, as we've mapped that out and talked about our highlights and the major achievements across this time. And then in terms of making the differences that across our communities, so talking about things like the Cotgrave Regeneration, the Growth Boards, Armed Forces, etc. And then some key statistics like the fact we've emptied 3.3 million bins and answered over 100,000 calls. And obviously very important in terms of the movement of our financial position from 2013-14. The main bit is what we call the living strategy in the 4 categories of quality of life, efficient services, sustainable growth and the environment. And drilling down, we have put in there what the main objectives are, but most importantly for me, it's about the action plan. So as you go through the corporate action plan, it goes through each of these 4 categories, setting out really what are we going to do, why are we going to do them, when we're going to do them, and most importantly, how do we judge that we've actually been successful. So this really is a blueprint in terms of how we want to take the council forward. It's been through the scrutiny committees and they've given that approval. It is, I do stress, a fluid document. So this is a working document that we need ready to review, update. There are timelines against a lot of these deliveries. So as we achieve them, they need to move out. Some may need to change as the landscape changes across both Rushcliffe and nationally. But I think the Cabinet agrees that these are the key areas that we need to focus our resources, our energies. This is something we need to publicise to our residents, to our taxpayers, to our businesses, just to show that we are focused on what's going to make the biggest difference in terms of the impact of lives of people who either live and work in Rushcliffe. So with that amendment to the wording I talked about earlier, I'd also like to move the recommendation set out on page 19, section 2, recommend the Cabinet endorses the corporate strategy and forwards it to full council for adoption. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Upton. Councillor Mullins, switch your... Sorry, off there. Councillor Devine.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to endorse the corporate strategy and the recommendation to forward it for adoption by council. The strategy document, as Councillor Robinson has said, demonstrates that we've already travelled a successful road of significant achievement. The 4 cornerstones of the onward journey will focus both officers and members alike on the tasks required to continue to deliver to the highest standards. At the core of the revised strategy are our residents and ensuring that we maintain the high desirability of living and working in Rushcliffe.
The strategy, as Councillor Robinson has said, is comprehensive and it is capable of evolving to ensure that we focus on the right priorities at the right time, and that the main priorities are at the forefront throughout. I'm particularly pleased to say that the environment is seen as a key factor, and I, for one, look forward to continuing to see improvement to the way in which we live, with less waste, more energy efficiency, and better ways of building housing where we can implement them. And therefore I second the recommendation as set out.
Any other comments in terms of the corporate plan? As I say, I just want to stress this actually is a working document, so that's not something that we want to potentially agree tonight, potentially agree at full council, then put into a cupboard and review in 4 years' time and look what we've done. It has to be reviewed, it has to be brought out, and most importantly, it has to be a tool for actually managing and taking the actual council forward. And I think so it's really important that we agree these categories and make sure these are the priorities and that we're not going to spread ourselves too thinly or just put things underachieve. So, as Councillor had been said, one of the major changes and emphasis on this from previous plans is the environment and the actions that are laid out there, because this is going to make one of the biggest differences to this authority. So proposed by myself, seconded by Councillor Edovin. All those in favour of the recommendations on this? That's carried unanimously. Moving on to section 8, Revenue and Capital Budget Monitoring 2019-20. Councillor Moore.
This is the first quarter report for the financial year 2019-20. The report has been to corporate overview group with no significant issues. I understand it's going to governance group. It's been to corporate overview group. Overall, on paragraph 4, you can see on the revenue budget, we are projecting budget efficiencies for the year of 285,000. Although we're 9 months to go, this could change. Currently, this saving represents a 2.48% saving against the net expenditure budget. This is summarised in Appendix A and B, and the variation is largely due to additional planning income of 180,000 and additional treasury income of 106,000. We have a bit more money to spend at the moment because of our slippages on the capital programme. One area of concern that I need to point out to Cabinet is the £22,000 adverse variance in relation to Ed Walton Golf Course due to the waiving of the management fee for 1 year due to the difficult environment the course operates in. This is only for the current year, and a further report will come back to Cabinet regarding future options. Now, the capital programme. This is summarised in paragraph 4.5 with a net financial efficiency at the moment of 15 million. This is due to the following: significant sums for Fair and Pastures and the depot redevelopment, now not required. Slippage on Bingham Hub, Copgrave Phase 2 and the crematorium. In addition, assets investments have intentionally slowed down, with 2 schemes pending and an uncommitted balance of £1 million. Appendix C and give further details of the capital programme. The question that was raised by the Leader of the Opposition earlier, it is very important that every member of the Council has a look at this document. I think what it does, it shows the scale of work and investment that we, the officers particularly, are involved in. We're talking about a £29 million capital budget. There's an awful amount of work goes on, and you know, it's very good sometimes just to refresh yourself and remind yourself just how many activities we're up to in terms of capital investment. So I just wanted to raise that point. It's a positive report and bodes well for the rest of the year. So therefore, I'm very happy to recommend to propose the recommendations that the Cabinet approve the tax report, noting the project revenue position for the year. In the revenue, 285,000 saving in the revenue position, mostly due to the expected business rates position and planning income, and the capital underspend of 15.3 million as a result of sums no longer required in the planned programme slippage. Happy to recommend those, Mr. Chairman.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor English.
Thank you. Councillor Moore summarised this positive report, and I concur to the figures and comments he has made. I fully support his recommendation. There are uncertain times ahead, but I'm totally confident with this council and the excellent work of Peter Linfield and his team to rise to any arising challenges. I'm confident that they will maintain the due diligence required with regards to its finances and ensure necessary action is taken to maintain Rushcliffe's robust, positive capital and revenue financial position. I have no hesitation in seconding this report. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments on the report? Councillor Upton.
Well, yes, I'd just like to say another excellent budget monitoring report. I've said it before, but I think it merits it because it demonstrates yet again our officers' professional management of our budgets. And I mean, the budget is, in my opinion, one of, if not the key plank to our being and how we operate and how we deliver our services. And it's managed very effectively and professionally, in my opinion. So, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to endorse that. I think it's something we should never take for granted. So I'd like to thank certainly Peter Linfield and his team and Sarah there as well to thank you for your efforts. I know, particularly in the current environment, I know the spending plans have been put back by the government at the moment, haven't they? The review, etc. So it's not an easy environment to work in, but I endorse what Councillor Upton said. This is the absolute key platform for us, and we have good reports coming to this cabinet. And as I say, it's something we should never ever take for granted. Appreciating the very hard work that's done at officer level, and particularly with and also with members in terms of the various committees where we set our priorities and how we go forward. So thanks very much for the good work. Taking the recommendations as set out by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Inglis. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. So that concludes the business for tonight. So have a safe journey home. Thank you very much.